Vaishnavibhyo namo namo. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityaṁ bhāgavata-sevayā. Bhagavati Uttama-shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. Durlabho manusho deho dehinam shana bhangurai. Tatrapi durlabham manye vaikuntha priyadarshanaha. Namami damodar pada pankajam karomi damodar pujanam sada vadami damodar nama nirmalam smarami damodar lila sundaram. Hare Krishna, dear worshipable devotees, thank you so much for joining. So today we are assembled to read Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and this is the auspicious month of Kartik going on, and reading Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, especially in this month, every day is very important, but in this month is like very, very important. Especially today is the appearance day of Srila Veerabhadra, who is the son of Śrī Caitanya-Prabhu, and the expansion of the Lord in the form of a devotee. So Nandi Mataji will facilitate and lead today's call and take us through the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam verses. So we are at text 40 of Canto 9, chapter 22. So Mataji, please take over. Mute, Mataji, can you unmute?
Yes, Prabhupada Pranam. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Please accept my humble obeisances. All of you, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So I'll start with 9:20-40. Gajayate ryute nadya kaushambhyam sadhuvasyati uvattasta chitra rathasta tasmachutritaha sutaha. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. When the town of Hastinapura, New Delhi, is inundated by the river, Nemi Chakra will live in the place known as Kaushambi. His son will be celebrated as Chitraratha, and the son of Chitraratha will be Suchiratha. So this is just talking about after Krishna's dynasty, Krishna departs and Yudhishthira Maharaj and everybody retires, I believe. Then after a few years, this will happen. The future generations are predicted. Would anybody like to add anything here? Okay. Is anybody in position? But Mataji, would you like to read the next one? Anyone else in the position to read?
Hare Krishna, Mataji, I can read.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, devotees, Dandat Pranam, Aglos to Srila Prabhupada. Text number 41. Tasmacha vistri mam tasya suseno hatha mahipati sunithastasya bhavita chakshuyat sumo sukhimnala. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. From Suchirata will come the son named Vistiman, and his son Susena will be the emperor of this entire world. The son of Susena will be Sunitha. The son will be Nichiksha, and from Nichikshu will come a son named Sukhinala. Hare Krishna, Mataji, back to you. Thank you.
So from this verse, what do we see? That only Susena is told to be the emperor of the entire world. Not each and every son was told that he will be emperor of the world, right? So we see that it's the Rajarshis and the emperors were, like Yudhishthira Maharaj was the emperor, but not everybody in his dynasty is the emperor. And in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, in Lord Ram's 9th canto, that chapter, it says that a king would become emperor only to reduce the sufferings of all the citizens. When he would see that he could do that, then he would become an emperor. And what does becoming emperor mean? Meaning that he would go to all the other small kingdoms, win them, and they will either lose or submit right away and collect the taxes and bring back, and then there would be one universal king all over the world. And this way, the small kings won't keep on fighting with each other, and the people won't suffer too much. So this, it says, is the motive behind declaring somebody as an emperor. Any questions or comments? Okay, so Suchiratha, Vrishtiman, Sushena, then Richakshu, and then Sukhinala. So we'll read more. Is anyone in position to read?
Yes, Mataji, I can read. Hare Kṛṣṇa.
Hare Kṛṣṇa.
Text 42. Paripalva sutastasman meghavi sunayatmajaha drupajaya tato durvashati sunayatasm naratasya tato durvashatimis tasmaj jayasyati. Translation. The son of Sukhinala will be Paripalva, and his son will be Sunaya. From Sunaya will come a son named Medhavi. From Medhavi, and Rapanjaya. From Rapanjaya, Durva, and from Durva, Timi. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Madam.
Hare Bol. So again, many more names. Hare Kṛṣṇa. Thank you, Mataji, for reading. Thank you, Sudhir Prabhu, for reading. Next one, please.
I can read, Mataji.
Thank you so much. Please.
Hare Krishna, devotees. Text 43. Timer Bhagdratas Tasmak Chattanika Sudasajaha Satad Nikad Durad Durdaman Manas Tasya Patayam Mahin Naraha. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. From Timi will come Bradrata. From Bradrata, Sudasha. And from Sudasha, Satanika. From Satanika will come Durudamana. And from him will come a son named Mahinara. Thank you, Mataji. Back to you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Kṛṣṇa, Prabhu. Thank you for reading. So we are again reading names, and we are seeing that at least now 16 generations have passed. Timi, Brihadratha, Sudasa, Chatanika, Durdamana, and Mahinara. Actually, 17 generations have passed since we started in this canto. Okay, the next volunteer, please. Anybody in position to read? Sampada Mataji, are you able to read? Are you on mute, Sampada? Prabir Prabhu, will you please read?
Mataji, I'm sorry, I'm driving.
No worries. Okay.
Sorry.
Hare Kṛṣṇa.
Read again, Mataji.
Yes, please read.
Text 44 and 45. Dandapani nimistasya kshemako bhavita yataha ब्रह्मक्षत्रस्य वै योनिर्वशो देवर्षि सत्कृतः क्षेमकं प्राप्य राजानं संस्था प्राप्स्यति वै कलौ अथ मागध राजानो भाविनो ये वदामि ते. Translation: The son of Mahinara will be Dandapani and his son will be Nimi, from whom King Kesavamaka will be born. I have now described to you the moon god's dynasty, which is the source of Brahmanas and Kshatriya and is worshipped by demigods and great saints. In this Kali Yuga, Kshemaka will be the last Monraj. Now I shall describe to you the future of the Magadha dynasty. Please listen. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for reading, Mataji. Just day before yesterday, we read that Moon Dynasty will continue again, right? After this Kali Yuga. Does anybody remember how? So this is Kshemaka is the last monarch of Moon Dynasty for Kali Yuga, it says, right? But then Moon Dynasty again continues in Satya Yuga. You remember that?
I think the brother of Santanu, I think he's
Shantanu.
Yeah, Shantanu, yeah. So he's living actually. He never, and he's going to come back in the Satya Yuga and then revive this dynasty.
Yeah, he's staying in some Kunal or Kumar or something Grama, and he will revive the dynasty. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for reading so attentively and meditating. And he's right now practicing mystic yoga because he made some mistake. You know, he was actually qualified to rule again the whole dynasty, the kingdom. But he made some mistake because minister said something to him. And then he was no longer eligible. And then he turned towards mystic yoga, and he will be back in Satya Yuga. Thank you, Prabhu. Anybody in position to read or read again? The next one. Sudhir Prabhu or? Okay, I'll read. Bhavita sahadevasya majariryarshat shravaha tato yutayustasyapi niramitro tatsutaha sunakshatrat bruhatseno karmajit tataha sutjayat vipra shuchistasya bhavishyati kshemoto suvratastasmad dharma sutra samastataha dyumseno sumati subalo janita tatha. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sahadeva, the son of Jarasandha, will have a son named Marjari. From Marjari will come Shrutashrava. From Shrutashrava, Yutayu. And from Yutayu, Niramitra. The son of Niramitra will be Sunakshatra. From Sunakshatra will come Bruhatsena. And from Bruhatsena, Karmajit. The son of Karmajit will be Sutanjaya. The son of Sutanjaya will be Vipra. And his son will be Shuchi. The son of Shuchi will be Kshema. And the son of Kshema will be Suvrata. The son of Suvrata will be Dharmasutra. From Dharmasutra will come Sama. From Sama, Dyut Sama Sena. And from Dyumat Sena, Sumati. And from Sumati, Subal. So again, we are seeing the almost whole lineage of Magadha here. We read about Jarasandha, we read about Jara, demon, and how he was killed by Bhima. So after Krishna killed Jarasandha, he installed Sahadeva. as his son as a king. And from there, this lineage is continued, Magadha dynasty. Majari, Shrutashrava, Yutayu, Niramitra, and one. There are about 15 to 16 generations from there. And so it's extremely, actually, if you think about it, it's extremely difficult to predict any such thing. This is not astrology. This is not magic. This is Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, you know, how Vedas are complete, the knowledge is perfect and complete. And that's why we study Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam scrutinizingly, because it's a Shabda Brahman. So after Krishna departed this world, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is manifested, and it has all the details of how the dynasties will continue, what will happen generation after generation. And it's truth, it's not mythology. Any additions, any questions here?
Yeah, I have one question, Mataji.
Yes.
Sahadeva, son of Jarasandha. We know that Jarasandha had demoniac qualities and he was killed by Bhima.
Yeah.
But Sahadeva, I forgot what were his qualities. Do you remember?
Prabhu, I have not read them anywhere. I just
Okay.
remember reading that Krishna installed Jarasandha's son. And again, Mahabharata has few different versions.
Okay. Yeah, I don't recall either. Yeah. Okay.
Sure, but I will research. Prabhu. Okay. A lot of people have joined. Is anybody in position to read text 49? Is the last one of this chapter.
Hare Kṛṣṇa, Mataji, can I?
Yes, please.
Sorry, Mataji, I'm not in position to show myself. Hare Kṛṣṇa. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Bodhi, Dantavat Pranam. Sunita Satyaji Datta Vishru Jit Vipujaya Bhārata Shastrascha Bhupala Bhavya Sahasavat. It's moving too much, Mataji. Bhārata Shastrascha Bhupala Bhavya Sahastra Vatsaram. Translation by His Grace Śrīla Prabhupada ki Jai. From Subal will come Sunita, from Sunita Satyajit, from Satyajit Vishwajit, and from Vishwajit Ripujaya. All of these personalities will belong to the dynasty of Brihadratha, which will rule the world from 1,000 years. Purport by Śrīla Prabhupada ki Jai. This is the history of a monarchy that began with Jarasandha and continues for 1,000 years. As the above mentioned kings appear on the surface of the globe. I think it's direct, Mataji, the purport. Thank you very much. Back to you, Mataji. Thank you.
Devaki Mataji.
Thus end the Bhakti Vedanta purports of the 9th Canto, 22nd chapter of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, entitled The Descendants of Ajamidha. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you so much. Shubha Vilas Govind Prabhu, are you available now? Or you want to summarize, or shall we continue?
Hare Kṛṣṇa.
Hare Kṛṣṇa, Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for so nicely reading, and all the devotees for so nicely coordinating. So this basically ends the 22nd chapter.
You want to share your screen, Prabhu? Okay.
Sure, Mataji, I can do that. And devotees have any comments or any Actually, I still have a few verses to catch up from this verse, so I don't feel very confident in summarizing. But if anyone else wants to, I'll be happy to hear. If any devotee wants to take a quick summary of the chapter 22, or if anything struck you, inspired you, and to share.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dhanat Pranam. So I'll just share a couple of points. So here we can see that how Pandu family, from the Janmejaya was there, and Prabhupada very nicely explained the whole hierarchy. But we can see that Parikshit Maharaj, not only Prabhupada, we are learning before Parikshit Maharaj, we can see after Parikshit Maharaj also, from future from that time, when Sukadeva Goswami was telling Parikshit Maharaj. And so we can see that how, subsequently the dynasties, continued and the hierarchy continued. And Parikshit Maharaj was very, steady and listening nicely and, without any deviation. Even though he knew about Takshakana and all Sukadeva Goswami was explaining, he was very dedicated and he wanted to leave his body over there just after 7 days of hearing Bhagavatam continuously. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhu. And all these names which we read from 39 to practically 45, as we were discussing yesterday, to so much precise name, who will be the son of who will be the last monarch, and all that is not any Tom, Dick, Harry, any ordinary person cannot predict that. It's only the divine representative of the Supreme Lord, like Srila Sukadeva Goswami, Srila Vyasadeva, who are free from all these anarthas. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Very nice comment. Anyone else has more comments or lessons learned from this chapter? Okay, then we'll move on to the next chapter. We're almost coming towards the end of Canto 9. We have just 2 more chapters to go. That is chapter 23, which we will start now. Okay, so yes, Sampada Mataji, please read the summary.
Hare Krishna. The Dynasties of the Sons of Yayati. In this 23rd chapter, the dynasties of Anu, Duyu, Durvasu, and Yadu, as well as the story of Jagmagha, are described. The sons of Yayati's 4th son Anu were Sabhanara, Chaksu, and Parishnu. Of these 3, the sons and grandsons of Sabhanara were, in succession, Kalanara, Shinjaya, Janamejaya, Mahasala, and Mahamana. The sons of Mahamana were Usinara and Titiksu. Usinara had 4 sons, namely Sibi, Vara, Krimi, and Daksha. Sibi also had 4 sons, Brisadharba, Sudhira, Madra, and Kekaya. The son of Titiksu was Rusadhrata, who begot a son named Homa. From Homa came Suttapa, and from Suttapa Bali. In this way, the dynasty continued, begotten by Dirghatama. In the womb of the wife of Bali were Anga, Vanga, Kalinga, Suma, Pundra, and Odra, all of whom became kings. From Anga came Kalapana, whose dynasty included Diviratha, Dharmadratha, and Chittaratha, also called Romapada, one after another. Maharaj Dasaratha gave in charity one of his daughters by the name Santa to his friend Romapada because Romapada had no sons. Romapada accepted Santa as his daughter, and the great sage Rishyasringa married her. By the mercy of Rishyasringa, Romapada had a son named Chaturanga. The son of Chaturanga was Prithulaksha, who had 3 sons, Brihadratha, Brihadkarma, and Brihadbhanu. From Brihadratha came a son named Brihadmana, whose sons and grandsons in succession were Jayadratha, Vijaya, Tritavrata, Satkarma, and Adhiratha. Adhiratha accepted the son rejected by Kunti, namely Karna, and Karna's son was Brisasena. The son of Yayati's third son, Driyu, was Babhru, whose son and grandsons were said to Arabta, Gandhara, Dharma, Drita, Durmada, and Pracheta. The son of Yayati's second son, Turvasu, was Vani, whose seminal dynasty included Bharga, Bhanuman, Tribhanu, Karandhama, and Maruta. The childless Maruta accepted Dusmanta, who belonged to the Puru dynasty, as his adopted son. Maharaja Dusmanta was anxious to have his kingdom returned, and so he went back to the Puru Vamsa. Of the four sons of Yadu, Sahasrajit was the eldest. The son of Sahasrajit was named Satyajit. He had three sons, of whom one was Hayhaya. The sons and grandsons in the dynasty of Hayhaya was Dharma, Netra, Kunti, Sohanji, Mahisman, Bhadra, Senaka, Thanaka, Pratavirya, Arjuna, Jayadwaja, Talalajanga, and Vitihotra. The son of Vitihotra was Madhu, whose eldest son was Vrishni because of Yadu, Madhu, and Vrishni. Their dynasties are known as Yadava, Madhava, and Vrishni. Another son of Yadu was Krotsa, and from him came Vijinavan, Swahita, Visadgu, Chittaratha, Sasabindu, Ritusrava, Dharma, Usana, and Ruchaka. Ruchaka had five sons, one of whom was known as Jamaka. Jamaka was sonless, but by the mercy of the demigods, his childless wife gave birth to a son named Vidarbha. Hare Kṛṣṇa Prabhuji, back to you. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Looks like Sambhada Mataji understood everything, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot of names, especially they're not in the chronological order, so we are going back and forth. So I know it's a little kind of ocean of names in this, and it's not easy to understand who was contemporary to who and how these are coming one generation after the other, especially there are so many names in the past chapters. So some names must seem familiar. Rishi Shringa, Dushmanta, we read, right? Dushmanta, Romapada, Dashratha, Bali, etc. So we will try to understand to the best of our intelligence and Prabhupada's purports and translations. But ultimately, we have to understand that we can't understand, but we will try to understand so that we can understand that we can't understand. So if you understood that, let's read the first verse. Anyone who hasn't got chance yet? Yes, Vaswati Mataji, did you read?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Text 1. Shri Shuka Uvacha Ano Savanaras Chakshu Parisnuscha Trayaha Sutaha Savanarat Kalanaraha Srinjayastat Sutastata. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Shukadeva Goswami said, Anu, the fourth son of Yayati, had three sons named Suvanara, Chakshu, and Pareshnu. O king, from Suvanara came a son named Kalanara, and from Kalanara came a son named Srinjaya. Back to you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Mataji. So, do you remember Yayati? Where did we read that about Yayati? Anyone remembers anything about Yayati?
The whole chapter of Yayati and Devayani.
Yes, Yayati, Devyani, Sarmishta, the whole story which we read.
He was covered by Shukracharya.
Wonderful. And then there was a son who exchanged the youth with Yayati. Anyone remembers the name of that son?
Puru.
Puru is a person. Puru.
Puru. Very nice. And who was the eldest? Anyone remembers? Amongst the Yayati's sons? Who was the eldest among the sons of Yayati? Yayati had 4 sons.
Yadu.
Yadu. And from there the word comes Yadava, which is we are. So Yayati's mainly 2 wives. Devyani had 2 sons, Yadu and Turvasu. And Sarmishta had Druyu, Anu and Puru. Correct? So they were all given different regions. About Puru we read in chapter 20. Chapter 20 is entitled The Dynasty of Puru. And then further his generations continue. It's because he was the main ruler. So we remember that because he had the special blessings of the father because he exchanged his youth. And anyone remembers the 4 kinds of children or the 4 kinds of students which Puru said? There are 4 kinds of disciples or 4 kinds of children or 4 kinds of students.
The first class of son, second class of son, and third class of Dynasty. I think he explained, Prabhuji.
The first class will execute the order even before father says it. The second class will execute the order after father says it. The third class will execute the order of father reluctantly. And the fourth class will not obey, meaning disobey. And he's like urine.
Wonderful. Urine or stool, yeah. Uttamas chintitam kuryat. Chintitam kuryat. The father is thinking in the mind, or the guru is thinking in the mind. Uttama sana, Uttama disciple, first class. Chintinam kuryat. The first class person will act when the superior is thinking about it, and that they will act. Prokta karitu madhyamaha. This is prokta means to speak. The guru speaks, the disciple does. The father speaks, the student or the son does. That's madhyama. That's second class. Coming to second class also in this day and age is glorious. Adhama. Adhamo ashraddhadaya kurya. The fallen disciple or low class disciple, low class student, low class son is third class is kuryat ashraddhaya, without faith, reluctantly, without having full faith in the words of Guru or the Father. And akarot, one who does not act. Akarot uchitram pituhu is like a stool, is like a urine. So now we are talking about in this one Anu's lineage, or Anu was the 4th son of Yayati, the one elder to Puru. So Yayati had 5 sons. The 5th son was Puru, the youngest, and Anu, Duryu, Turusu, and Yadu. We will discuss about those in this chapter.
So Yadu is Yaduvansh?
Yes, Yadu is Yaduvansh. Krishna is about to appear, and the next chapter is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we are slowly going there to see Krishna's appearance, because the next canto, that is Canto 10, is all about Krishna's birth, form, qualities, pastimes, and the wonderful leelas. So yes, Yadu is Yaduvansh, Yadava.
And Puru is Kuru Vamsha, right?
Kuru, yes, Puru is Kuru Vamsha, yeah. From Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, all these Pandavas, Kauravas, their children. So yes, that's absolutely correct. They are all, in one way, everyone is a son of God, correct? Because, so yes. Does that help to? Okay, let's go on to the text too. So, Janame Jayastasya Putro Mahashalo Mahamanaha Ushinarastitikshuscha Mahamanasa Atmajo. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Śrīla Prabhupada ki Jai. From Srinjaya came a son named Janmejaya. From Janmejaya came Mahashala. From Mahashala, Mahamana. From Mahamana, two sons named Ushinara and Titikshu. So this is whose lineage? Anu's lineage, the fourth son of Yayati. Okay, so we'll move on to the next one. Anyone wants to read? Yes, anyone?
I can
Prabir,
read.
Prabir?
Okay, yeah, Prabir.
Maybe he's not in a position. Yes,
Yeah, Prabhu said he was driving, Prabhuji.
Oh, okay. Okay, so you can.
So I can. Hare Kṛṣṇa devotees, Dandat Pranam, all praise to Śrī. Text number 3 and 4. Sibir vara krimer dakshas chatvaro sinra majja vrisadharba sudhirascha madra kekaya atmavan sebes chatvara eva sams titikshoscha rusadruta tato homa atha sutapa bali sutapaso abhavat. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada ki Jai. The four sons of Usinara were Sibi, Vara, Krimi, and Daksha. And from Sibi again came four sons named Vristarbha, Sudhira, Madra, and Atma Tattvavit. Kekaya, the son of Titikshu, was Rusadharta, and from Rusadharta came Homa, and from Homa Sutapa, and from Sutapa Bali. Hare Kṛṣṇa Prabhuji, back to you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for me. Okay, so I don't have any comments here unless anyone else wants to add anything here. So we'll move on to the next. Anyone wants to read? Raghu Prabhu, you want to read?
Yes, took me a while to unmute. Hare Krishna devotees. Anga Vanga Kaling Gatya Soma Pundraudra Samichinataha Jajinere Targasman Maso Bale Shetre Mahikshataha. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. By the semen of Durgatma, Durgatama, in the wife of Bali, the emperor of the world, 6 sons took birth, namely Anga, Vanga, Kalinga, Suma, Pundra, and Odra. Hare Krishna, back to you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. So we'll move on to the next one. Yes, Nandini Mataji, want to read, please.
Actually, I want to ask you a question I was recently asked. I was recently asked that, this all we read is that all these kings, they're born in some family, right? How come we never see a common man become an emperor or the king of the world? And I could not give more than one example. And that too, it was not sure. So I was thinking, can we discuss that, or what are your thoughts about it? So how can we say ki Janma, it's the Kshatriya is by birth, but at the same time, we see this kings are always born in the family of a king. It was asked by a very beginner people, but I thought we can discuss her. Since this 9 canto is full of kings.
So there are a couple of things which we can, it's a very nice question, and because the thing is that we try to see things from the current perspective, and therefore we may kind of ask such questions, but these people were not ordinary actually. Like the Brahmana and Prabhupada and other devotees also have mentioned at multiple places that for the king, they were naturally trained in that kind of spirits, that Kshatriya blood. Now, Prabhupada also mentioned the Kshatriya blood is running. The blood is not Kshatriya. Right? Technically, the blood is blood. Like, what does it mean? Like, Kshatriya blood is running through him. So blood is like the same cells, white blood cells, red blood cells. It's not like Kshatriya blood or Brahmana blood. But what does it mean that Kshatriya blood is running through? It means the culture, the samskaras, the impressions. The impressions they are getting. And I think one devotee also mentioned that even in the contemporary phase, like, I don't name the leaders, but one leader, so the daughter was going with this leader all the time, and then the daughter became a leader naturally. So it is quite common to see that the son of a businessman most likely may become a good businessman, provided the father gives the good training. It may not always happen, and especially in this day and age, because of there is lack of proper training and culture. But in the previous days and ages, there was a lot of that. There was very good Gurukula model and training and culture. So the likelihood of the king's son becoming the king was a lot more than in the present day and age. Yet, now that's one point. Now, still it does not mean that they will always become the king. And then there are so many examples, actually. Not one. I will have to do some research to tell that. Like even the story of like the Navyogendras, right? That example is there. The Parshuram example is, Vishwamitra example is there. Even the story of this King Bharat. The King Bharat, I was actually referring to here, he didn't directly elect one of his direct sons on the throne. And his wife was not very happy with that. Like, the wife was not happy. And then she asked, well, why you didn't elect your direct son as the on the throne? Because he said that I see that this person who is not my son, but is actually my son, because as a king, all are my son. So because that was their mentality. So they were like not ordinary kings who had like selfish mentality that my son should be the king. And then we also see that they were not fighting. Of course, as we are getting closer to Kali Yuga, the tendency to now the tendency is that I'm the best. But in the previous Yuga, no, you are the best. Like Lord Ram and Bharat are also fighting. Lord Ram and Bharat are also fighting that you are the better king. You become the king. And Bharat is saying, no, you become the king. But in Kali Yuga, in Lanka, so there is His Grace Amrinda Prabhu gave this nice class that in Ayodhya and then Kishkinda and Lanka. Ayodhya is at the top, the culture of Sanskriti. Kishkinda is in the middle, the culture of Prakriti, and Lanka is at the bottom, the culture of Vikriti. So they're all fighting. They were all fighting. The first fight we just discussed, they were fighting that you are better than me. In Prakriti, there is sometimes war. They were sometimes together and sometimes fighting to get, misunderstanding, miscommunication, the fight between the two brothers, Vali and Sugriva. But in Lanka, they are also fighting. There is no fight actually. There's no fight because my way or the highway. You accept me as the king or get out. So he had to leave. There was no question of taking good counsel that I am the best and you have to accept my rulership. So Ravana was that, and Vibhishana, parted. So back to Bharata. So Bharat did not elect. I'm not talking about the Lord Ram Bharat in the Ramayana. We're not talking about the Jad Bharat also. We're talking about this Bharat.
Dushmanta's Bharat. Dushmanta.
Yeah, Dushmanta's Bharat. Very nice. So he didn't directly elect. It was one of the Praja people actually. But they were also his son. So in one way, we can also see that everyone is a son of the king. Everyone is the son of the king because these kings are so glorious that they don't see difference between their son and son of someone else. In the way that the same father would take care. Would any of ordinary people do like that? Certainly not. So the wife of Bharat asked, hey, why are you electing this? This is not your direct son. He says, I'm not seeing from the lens of a mother. I'm seeing from the lens of a king. So very nice message there, which again shows that if the father did not see that the sons were capable, he elected another Praja son to be the right caretaker, because the main mission is to take care of the Praja, and the Praja should live happily. So there are multiple examples and multiple points which can be said in this, that it was not just based on birth, and also the birth was not just birth, it was birth with deep culture, training, and heritage. So sometimes it was the right match, most time it was, sometimes it was not, and those occasions, like Anga and Vena, classic story. Anga and Vena. So Vena was not the right person. He somehow became the king, right? And Anga left, and then Vena was kind of killed by the Brahmanas. But that samskara was there, and then his body was churned, and then the right king came. First the bad side was cleared, and then the right king came from him. So some thoughts in this, if Mataji, I don't know if it makes sense, or does it help to any extent?
Yes, Prabhu. And the way I was going to respond in the next class tomorrow, next class, is that it was Kshatriya. Kshatriya and king are two different things. There could be hundreds and thousands of Kshatriyas fighting for the king, and they can be from any They can be born from Brahmana, Shudra, and Vipra, Vaishya too. And that was going to be my first thing. And second thing was, Bhagavad Gita chapter 6, it says that next life, even if you do not, on this path of Bhakti Yoga, even if you don't have success in this life, next life you will be born in the family of king. So that was what I was going to say in the answer to that. Rajarshi is not an ordinary living being. This kings we are discussing, and again we are also discussing just very select few kings from a very big dynasties. We're not discussing all the kings in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam or to a certain extent. So that's okay.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Mataji.
I think I'd just like to add to that.
Yeah, please.
So I think you made an important point. In the kingdom, the subjects also look up to the king. So they expect that the next one who's going to come is going to be from his lineage. So we see that even in the modern day, like India, we had Nehru, in a way, the Nehru dynasty, for instance. And people were automatically electing one after the other until the chain was finally broken. Or at least 3 dynasties, can't say dynasty, but 3 periods during which the Nehru family prevailed. So there are examples like that where the subjects tend to look up to the emperor or the prime minister or whoever it is. Just my point. Thank you.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct to quite extent. And in Ayurveda also, there are Vaidyas, like 4 generations. This is their father taught to their father and grandfather. There are a lot of like family businesses, like 3rd generation businesses, 5 generations, they have been doing certain business. There are a lot of people like that also. So which adds to their credibility, certainly. If you say that this person has learned from his grandfather and his father about Ayurveda, won't you be impressed that this person has since his birth, he has been learning about Ayurveda? He'll certainly be. And then that person is doing some diagnosis. That will certainly add to credibility, but it's not always the case. And chains are broken. Especially if it's for like a material knowledge, but for spiritual chain also, what is because in spiritual level, whenever it's broken, the Lord comes again. There are always dark periods in even the spiritual realm and then Krishna sends his empowered representatives to rekindle that pure teachings of Sanatana Dharma. So nice points, Prabhu. Thank you. Yes, Nandini Mataji, you want to say something? Anyone else has any other comments besides before we pause today? Okay, so Lord Krishna is about to appear. We are in that chapter, and the next chapter is Lord Krishna's appearance. So thank you. We'll pause here and continue on the following day. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Purana ki jai, Śrī Bhagavad Gita Upanishad ki jai, Śrī Damodar Mas ki jai, Śrī Radha Damodar ki jai. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyaiva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavim Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Hare Kṛṣṇa.
Prabhuji, I don't know whether I can share in this screen. Since I'm following quite regularly